Snow. A helmet made of ice sitting on a throne like it owns the place. And a voice whispering in your head, which is not something you want to experience. That's you, by the way. The guy everyone calls the greatest monster this world has ever produced. Big shoes. Cold shoes, actually, we'll get to that. Rewind about 24 years. Sunny Kingdom. Happy peasants. You running around with a wooden sword pretending you're already a hero. Spoiler. You peak here. You're born into the Menethil family, which is basically Lordaeron's version of royalty influencers. Your mom is Queen Leanne, and honestly, history barely wrote anything down about her, which feels rude. Your dad is King Tyrannus, nicknamed the Lightbringer, a title he apparently earned before losing it to your future mentor. Awkward family dinners, probably. Your whole bloodline is kings who fought trolls and built cities from scratch. No pressure passed down there. Just an entire dynasty's worth of expectations resting on a kid who still trips over his own boots. Peace just showed up too, fresh off beating the Orcish horde in a war you weren't even around for. Everybody's relaxed. Everybody's happy. This never lasts in your world, but nobody's told you that yet. Your best friend growing up is a kid named Varian, future king of Stormwind. You race horses, you compare bruises, you're basically Prince frat brothers. This friendship is going to matter later in ways neither of you saw coming. Here's your whole personality, free of charge. Brave to the point of stupid. Impulsive to the point of concerning. Competitive about literally everything, including things nobody asked you to compete in. And protective enough that it should have worried people way earlier than it did. You don't actually want the throne. You want to save people. Sounds noble. Turns out that's the exact thing that ruins you, but we'll get there. One time as a kid, you find a bird with a broken wing. You nurse it back feeling like a tiny hero. It dies anyway. Welcome to your first lesson about the universe not caring about your feelings. Enter Uther. Uther the Lightbringer. First paladin ever. War hero. Founder of an entire holy knight squad. This guy is basically if Captain America had a religion. He's not just training you though. He's family. You call him Uncle Uther sometimes. Keep that detail in your pocket. It's going to hurt later. Training is not cinematic. You drop your hammer constantly. You get knocked flat more times than you'd like to admit. Uther keeps saying patience is the key. You do not have patience. You have never had patience. He tries to drill 5 virtues into you. Discipline, which you ignore because waiting around is boring. Honor, which you mix up with plain old pride. Mercy, which is going to become a very loaded word later. Justice, which in your hands eventually gets extremely off-brand. And protecting the innocent, your favorite one. Right up until protecting starts meaning something much darker. He warns you straight up. Never sacrifice your principles. You hear this the way teenagers hear curfews. Noted, ignored, filed away for later regret. The first time you channel holy magic, it's warm and golden and feels like a hug from the universe. Remember that feeling. It gets replaced eventually with something a lot colder. Uther even tells you flat out, you have a good heart, but you act before you think. You take this as a compliment. It was not a compliment. Jaina Proudmoore. 18 years old, already one of the smartest mages in Lordaeron, trained by an actual archmage. She's basically the smartest person in any room she walks into, including rooms with you in them. Your dad set this whole thing up as a political alliance, which is the least romantic origin story possible, and somehow it turns into an actual relationship anyway. She studies, you fidget. She blasts training dummies with magic. You try to keep up and mostly fail. You laugh at dumb jokes together. It's honestly kind of nice, before everything goes horribly wrong. She thinks things through. You charge in head first. This works out fine for a while, right up until it very much does not. You give her a necklace. She wears it through basically everything that follows, right up to a moment near the end that still doesn't sit right with anyone watching. You talk about ruling together someday, king and queen, building something better. Neither of you gets that ending, which is a bummer considering how much planning went into it. There's this one moment where you want to charge into danger and she tells you to wait. You charge anyway. You win. But the cost is higher than it should have been, and you don't even notice. She's not just your girlfriend in the story either. She goes on to lead an entire mage council and found her own city. She's out here building a legacy while you're out here setting yours on fire. Literally, eventually. Fast forward a bit and you're out proving yourself. Bandits go down easy. Trolls put up a decent fight. Leftover horde soldiers are the real test. And you actually handle it well. Most of these bandits are just desperate farmers who turn to crime. You show mercy to a bunch of them. Hold on to that fact. It's going to look real different in a few scenes. The trolls near the elf border keep testing you, and you keep winning. Even the dwarves start talking about you like you're somebody. Some leftover orc soldiers are hiding out in your kingdom, and you hunt them down. This time, it's a clean win. No asterisks. No regrets. Villagers cheer when you ride through town. Kids want your autograph. You've genuinely earned this one, unlike some things coming up. Your dad watches you from a balcony one day, just beaming. That's my son. He has no idea that memory is going to haunt everybody watching this later. Even Uther tells you you're becoming exactly the paladin he hoped for. You practically float for a week after hearing that. Jaina's the only one who notices something's off. You don't have to save everyone, Arthas. You brush her off completely, because obviously you know better. You did not know better. Then a villager coughs somewhere they shouldn't. Someone collapses. The vibe shifts fast, and you don't clock it in time. Of course something's wrong. Peace never sticks around long in your world. It's basically allergic to you. A farming village gets hit first. Entire families get sick, then die, then stand back up a few minutes later, which is objectively the worst possible outcome for a Tuesday. Turns out the grain is tainted. Some cult is handing it out, and it tastes completely normal, which is honestly the most evil part. These risen people aren't mindless at first. They're confused. Some of them turn on their own families before the horror fully kicks in. Genuinely disturbing stuff. Behind all of it is a necromancer named Kel'Thuzad, who got kicked out of the Mage Council for dabbling in death magic. Guess he found a new boss with fewer boundaries. The cultists spreading this plague aren't brainwashed. They picked this on purpose. They think dying is basically an upgrade. You do not agree, for the record. There's a demon behind the demon, a dreadlord named Mul'Ganis, and he's not even the final boss. He's just one piece of a much bigger, much worse plan. You start playing detective, interviewing survivors, tracking shipments, punching cultists. You're good at this job. You're also completely out of your depth and don't realize it yet. Every lead just opens up a scarier one. Kill one cult leader, find a note pointing somewhere worse. This conspiracy keeps getting bigger every time you think you've solved it. You stop sleeping. You stop eating right. You start snapping at your own advisors. The plague spreads faster than you can keep up with, and for once, you're actually losing. Peaceful streets, kids playing, bells ringing. Classic normal day. Except thousands of people already ate that cursed grain, and you're the only one in the city who knows what that means. They're still walking, still talking, still completely themselves. But you already know what's coming, and there's no stopping it once it starts. Uther and Jaina both want to find a cure. You've already done the homework. There isn't one. Once you're infected, that's it. Game over. No appeal process. Uther pushes back hard. There must be another way. You tell him flatly there isn't. First time you've ever defied him, and it will not be the last. Jaina begs you to reconsider. Arthas, this is genocide. You actually respond, this is mercy, with a completely straight face. Looking back, that's a wild thing to say out loud. You give the order calmly. No yelling, just purge the city. Somehow the calm makes it worse than if you'd been screaming. Uther refuses to follow the order, so you strip him of command, which you technically have zero authority to do. He answers to your father, not you. You do it anyway. Jaina doesn't even argue. She just turns around and leaves. I can't watch this. Her silence hits way harder than any shouting match would have. The purge happens, villagers panic, the infected turn. It's ugly from every single angle, and nobody in this scene walks away feeling good about it. When it's over, you're standing alone in a burning city. Thousands dead. In your head, you saved the kingdom. In reality, you just lost every single person who actually loved you. 30,000 people lived in that city. You killed every one of them, infected or not. Not your proudest highlight reel. At this point, you've basically stopped protecting anybody. You're just hunting Mul'Ganis now, and everything else has become background noise to you. You put together an expedition to Northrend, except your dad refuses to send actual troops, so you're stuck with mercenaries, guys who will follow anybody waving gold in front of them. These soldiers aren't heroes. They're frostbitten, exhausted, and completely unaware they've become collateral damage in your personal revenge arc. Northrend does not care who you are. Blizzards for days. Cold that freezes blood in people's veins. This isn't a war against an enemy anymore. It's a war against the weather itself. Then comes the moment people still bring up. You order your men to burn your own ships. No going home. Pretty sure that's the exact moment you fully lost the plot. Some of the guys are horrified. Others just shrug and accept it. A few seem almost relieved that the decision's out of their hands now. Bleak vibes all around. Mul'Ganis is toying with you this whole time. Come, Prince, claim your destiny. Classic villain monologue energy. And you fall for it completely. You start hearing whispers. You've stopped sleeping properly. You've stopped eating properly. Rage is basically running your whole operation at this point. Nothing matters except revenge anymore. Your men are falling apart around you. The cold just keeps getting worse. And whatever's waiting for you already knows exactly what you're about to become. That ship-burning scene plays like a hero moment in the moment. Looking back, it's genuinely terrifying. Nobody could go home even if they wanted to. A dwarf named Muradin finds a sword buried in a cave. He immediately knows this thing is legendary, and not in a good way. There's a warning carved right into the stone. Whomsoever takes up this blade shall wield power eternal. Subtle as a brick. Honestly. Muradin begs you not to touch it. This thing is cursed. I can feel it. You hear the word powerful and completely tune out the word cursed. Any sacrifice is worth it if it saves your people. That's the whole reasoning. Solid logic, completely wrong execution. You grab the hilt, ice explodes everywhere, the cave shakes, Muradin gets thrown across the room, and you don't even stop to check if he's okay. Whether he survives that stays a mystery for now. You just keep moving. The whispers get louder, clearer. It's not just background noise in your head anymore. The sword is actually talking to you directly, which should have been your cue to leave. The sword was never a weapon. It's a prison key, and grabbing it means becoming the vessel for something way worse than you. None of that was in the inscription. Your hair turns white instantly. Your eyes go glowing blue. Frost starts crawling over your armor like it's alive. Whoever you used to be is basically gone at this point. This blade wasn't just found lying around either. It was built on purpose, specifically designed to corrupt whoever picked it up. Every soul it's ever taken was exactly according to plan. You ride home to parades, flowers, and cheering crowds who genuinely think you saved them. Technically true, just not in any way they'd want to hear explained. Your dad hugs you, beaming with pride. You've done it. You've saved Lordaeron. This is the last actual happy moment you two ever get to share. You walk into the throne room completely silent. No smile. Nothing behind your eyes. Your own father doesn't even recognize the look on your face. The sword is basically fused to you at this point, humming with dark energy loud enough that the whole court goes dead quiet. Your dad's smile fades fast. Arthas? My son, what are you doing? He genuinely cannot process what's about to happen. It only takes one motion. Clean. Fast. Paladin training, as it turns out, makes for very efficient killing, which is a horrifying thing to realize about yourself. His last words aren't even a question, just, my son. Somehow that's worse than any accusation could have been. He falls. The whole kingdom effectively dies with him in that exact moment. The plague was just the opening act, apparently. You don't say anything. You don't celebrate. You just stand there while the sword and whatever's controlling it finish the job you started. Welcomed home as a hero, and you repay it by murdering your own father in front of everyone. Worst homecoming party in recorded history easily. From here, you're basically running on autopilot, fully under whatever's controlling that sword now. You stop fighting it entirely. You dig up an old necromancer's bones and bring him back as a lich. Rise, Kel'Thuzad. He wakes up laughing, which honestly checks out. Next stop? The Elf Kingdom. You lead an entire undead army straight through their gates, cutting down defenders as you go. Countless elves die. Their sacred tree gets corrupted. The whole race nearly gets wiped off the map because of you. Their best warrior puts up a real fight. She's genuinely skilled. Doesn't matter. You're basically unstoppable at this point. You kill her, then bring her back as an undead servant. The last thing I'll give you is the peace of death. She's never going to forgive you, and honestly, fair. Jaina's home city falls next. Her mentor dies in the fighting. You don't even flinch anymore, which says everything about where your head's at. You steal an ancient book from the ruins, which gets used to summon an actual demon lord. You're just a piece in someone else's game at this point, and you don't seem to care either way. That demon lord shows up, and a full-scale invasion kicks off. The guy who once wanted to save everybody just personally opened the door for their destruction. Years pass. You're not just following orders anymore, you're basically running the show. And there's barely anything human left in how you operate. You climb back up to an ice fortress that's about as welcoming as it sounds. Feels like the whole story's been building toward this exact staircase. A guy named Illidan is waiting for you up there. You fight, you win. Some old lines about not being ready hit very differently the second time around. You climb the final steps completely alone. Every single person who ever cared about you is either dead or long gone by now. There's a helmet waiting on an icy throne, humming with energy like it's been expecting you this whole time. For the first time since you grabbed that sword, the whispers finally stop. There's just quiet anticipation now, which is somehow scarier than the noise ever was. You pick up the helmet, it's heavier than it looks. You put it on anyway, because apparently that's just who you are now. Ice and metal fuse straight into your skin. There's no taking it off after this. You are whatever this thing wanted you to become. Blue light fills your eyes, matching the throne exactly. The whole world goes cold and quiet around you. Then the same whisper from the very beginning comes back. Now, we are one. And there it is, full circle. You were supposed to become the greatest king this kingdom ever saw. That part's actually true. You had every advantage handed to you on a silver platter. And you torched it all anyway. Not in one big dramatic moment, but across 100 smaller ones that each felt totally reasonable at the time. Every decision felt necessary in the moment. The city, the ships, the sword, your own father. Every single time you had a good excuse ready to go. That's just how people fall apart in general. You tell yourself it's just this once, and then just this once becomes your entire personality. History is going to remember you as the Lich King. Fair enough, but before that, you were just a kid who cried over a dead bird and decided nothing would ever die on your watch again. You couldn't accept that some things just can't be saved, and that one belief is what got literally everyone around you killed. It's not over, by the way, just so you know.